taller than you. Okay, I think we're right. I got it wrong.
Okay, let's see if they'll jump back on now. Now that we got all the...
So how do you get it on there?
I don't know. I don't rightly know. Let me see.
So go to my personal one. Just put it here.
Come on, y'all, jump back on.
How did we use last time?
I don't remember.
There we go.
Huh. Okay.
All
Yay!
right.
Thank you. Thanks, Amber. Once you pop on, for letting us know. So, Miss Terry, we missed you.
Yeah. It's not the same there without you. Hey, Chad's cool and all, but he's not you. It's weird. It's like slightly behind.
Yeah, I was gonna. So, how was your day?
It was good. Yesterday was super tiring. Like 7 dogs, lots of private sessions. Today we had to go home. Otis, the aggressive dog.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of dog was it? Springer Spaniel?
Springer Spaniel.
Did his go home today.
Hey, Ryan.
Ryan's the one that shadowed me yesterday. Ryan, thanks for your help yesterday. Super good day. We're going to read the kind of the update from the laser dog, the dog that got messed up by the laser.
Hey, Amber.
Yeah, it's going to be a good session. How was your day?
It's good.
It's good. Tired?
Slow day.
Does your butt hurt?
My butt hurts.
Her butt hurts.
He,
I didn't. What?
Well,
wait.
we
Wait.
have been in the gym
Here to pump you up.
with my guns.
Come on.
So yesterday we did legs. I appreciate the outcome of lunges, but lunges are of the devil. And so my left leg is falling asleep, and he's like, yeah, that muscle is just tight and it's pressing on your sciatic nerve, so you're just gonna have to like massage it out and stretch it. So I asked him to rub my butt.
What? And I did. Rubbed your butt.
It helped.
That's probably how I got makeup.
And it helped.
And then it helped.
It was like shake and bake.
It was like shake and bake, and I helped. So, Deborah Morell, that's, I think it's Morell, how do you say it? M-E-R-I-L-L?
Meryl.
Meryl, thank you. She, the German Shepherd that I was doing touch with today.
Oh, it's so cute.
So cute. Yeah, pup's doing really good.
That's the cutest one ever.
That's the cutest one ever. That's what I've heard.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we're going to Q&A. I'm Terry, and this is Olivia.
With West Tennessee Canine.
Yeah, there is that. West Tennessee Canine. We're going to do some Q&A. We have some questions that people sent in. If you have questions as we go, ask them. Olivia's on the high-tech stuff over here, like keeping up with comments. There we go, all the devices. So you can ask me or Olivia. She's as good a dog trainer as I am. And if you want like a female's opinion on how to handle things in your house with your dog, you can specifically say, Olivia, how do I do this? If you want to handle things like with your kids, maybe so too. We'll get into that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. All right, so what's the first question?
All right, so do you want to start with that one, or you want to start with laser porn?
We can start with that one.
Okay, this is from Bradley Wilson. Thank you for sending in your question. His question is random aggression fixable? As in, a few times now, my dog will let people pet him and get close. Then he'll make an unprovoked aggressive leap. There's no reason I know of it happening or why it's happening. No one has been hurt yet, but it's a risk I can't take, especially if it could happen to my kids.
Yeah, so I guess kind of most aggression is random. Something I hear a lot is like my dog's super chill at the house, and with my family or the friends that come over regularly, like my dog's super chill. So I just need help with this one area. So there's probably some reactivity going on.
Hey, Miss Terry.
And
Penny.
Can't even get it right.
Go ahead, sorry.
So she's catching up here as we go. Yeah. Miss Penny came to see me today. She didn't come to see you?
No.
Well, actually, Loki came to see me. So with the random aggression, it's not probably as random as you think. There, as a dog, as you're walking the dog, whatever, the dog's loading the whole time. So what you think is like a random act is probably something that's built over time. And it really doesn't matter if it's random or not. It just can't happen. A couple of things. One, I'm not a big fan of letting people pet your dogs. Like, people pet my dogs or try to. I body block them. I'm like, no, It's okay. Our dogs are super great. They are protection dogs. They are bite dogs. But they're super well behaved. You know, if you reach for them, they're not going to bite you. If you rush them, they'll probably, and may get you. But if you just stick your hand out to pet them, they're not going to bite you. But they may.
Gypsy might.
Gypsy might.
Gypsy might do that.
But I have no idea. So I'm super big on socializing your dogs when they're puppies. Let people pet them and rub them. There kind of comes a time when you're not going to pet my dog. The liability and what could happen is just too much.
Yep.
So I'd advocate for my dog, any dog. We had a go home session today with an aggressive dog, and there was this little yappy dog coming through, and he kind of perked up, and I'm watching the little yappy dog, and if the yappy dog comes toward dog I'm training, I don't know this dog, the dog's gonna get the boot. I'm not gonna
getting blocked.
Getting blocked. Oh. Same thing with people. I advocate for the dog, so my job is to advocate for my dogs. If someone goes to pet them, I move right in front of my dogs. When we have dogs that are people aggressive and dog aggressive, they are taught to back up and get behind you. So it's super important that you advocate for your dog.
Just like you would for your kid. It's like you don't want random people coming in and, hey Bobby, Susie.
Hey, Bobby.
You take your kids, even when you're walking through a crowd of strangers, you take them and put them behind you and walk behind you, because you're
when your son was on the weird bus and some dude just starts taking pictures of him, and I wasn't there, but she was telling me the story, and the random guy's taking pictures of your kid, and what do? You're like, wait a minute. I go and
take his phone.
Yeah, this is not going to happen. So make sure you're advocating for your dog. Super frustrating. Everybody does it. Hey, Bobby, and all this stuff, and you're like, hey,
And a lot of with Sadie, she's old lab that I have here. She really doesn't like other people to pet her. And so when I would take her on walks, even little kids or people would go up to pet her, and she'd get behind me, and I would just tell her, she's a little scared. I mean, she's not, but she just doesn't like to be pet. And then keep walking. You don't have to have a debate about it.
You don't, and that's the first thing is your dog's being reactive to other people. Don't let people in the dog space. Occasionally it's going to happen. You're not going to be able to stop it. You don't see it, but don't let them. So let's move on to the reactivity, the leash work. So the dog's walking on a leash, and if he's reactive to kind of people like that, I'm sure eventually it's going to work into being reactive to other dogs. I want you to correct the dog, so there has to be some type of prong collar, some type of correction device on the dog that matters to him.
Well, and if it's something that he's noticed, of course, I think it would, I guess to the naked eye, it may look random, but like you said before, it's probably something that's been building and building. So maybe, what's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know.
Start noticing your dog and watching your dog to see if, is it random?
Looking for the signs.
Or looking for the signs of it, and maybe watching, and then if you're seeing that staring at another dog or the person,
loading the ears up, correct then. If the dog is already lunging, it's almost too late. You can use pressure to build drive in dogs. So if a dog is already at a lunging point and you go to that's perfect, thank you. That was great technology work. So complicated.
I'm smart.
You are.
I was in the gifted
Just
program.
going right over my face, so I thought I wasn't a part of this conversation. You're the gifted program. I just got that.
He's pretty.
That's pretty. So what's I saying? The leash.
The leash and correct and lunging is too late.
So if the dog's already lunging and you're correcting, then you can correct, but it's almost too late. You need to watch your dog. Watch those ears that go up, scanning, posturing, tail. There's so many signs that are telling me a dog is going to react. Like when we're training or we're out with dogs or we're out in public, dog park, if and when we ever go there anymore, I can point the dogs out. I'm like, okay, that's about to be a fight. That person's about to be a bit. That dog's going to explode. And I promise you, on almost every occasion, if they're there long enough or we're in place long enough, the dog does it.
I don't know what happened. They were just playing so nicely.
Right, or you're in a cafe and the dog's there, and you're just watching the dog sitting there watching people, and the dog's eyes are this big, his pupils are dilated, it starts to posture, the chest goes up. If it's a dog that's in a decent shape, you can even see the pulse start to beat faster. You're like, this dog's about to explode. Happens all the time. So learning those signs ahead of time, knowing your dog, and you also have to pay attention to your environment. I mean, it's your job to protect your dog. We always reverse that. We get dogs for protection. Our dogs are protection dogs, trained for protection. You get your dog maybe to bark at somebody when they come near the house. You know, I got my dog to kind of protect the house. But even though you may have a super well-trained protection dog, like we can't take our dogs and drop them off down at the mall and leave them for a few hours and come back and get them and hope for the best. Like, it's not going to work out. So it's your job as a pet owner to advocate for your dog, to pay attention to the surroundings, and like be rude to people.
Yeah,
I mean,
I've had to be rude to people
yeah.
when someone wanted to pet Gypsy.
Yeah, in an elevator, she smacked him with a leather leash right across the hand. They said, "Hey, can I pet your dog?" She said no several times, and they reached anyway.
I mean, I was pretty specific. Said, she will bite you.
Yeah, she said she'll bite you, and then so the person reached and wham, leash right across the hand. I was like, "Oh, that hurt! That hurt me," and I wasn't even.
But it was less painful than a bite from Gypsy.
Yeah, we were in an elevator with 2 Dobermans and like about 8 people. It would have been bad. So advocate for your dog on this walk. Can you stop this behavior? Absolutely. Catch it beforehand. Work on the dog understanding correction. Work on a dog understanding correction associated with no meaning something. So if your no doesn't mean something, no should be the first word your dog learns. No, it means stop doing what you're doing. Don't do that. So that's kind of a short answer to a pretty complex question.
Yeah. Watch your dog and see its behavior before.
Advocate for them and don't be afraid to be a butthole to people. Like, you just have to get to the point where, like, no, you're not petting my dog. If they keep coming, you know, I move.
You can even use the excuse. They're in training right now. We're not getting pet.
Yeah, and some people just don't care. They keep coming, and this. So you just, I mean, I try all that first, and so I just end up being kind of rude to people. Like, you're not going to do it.
Hey, Miss Carol. Hey, Monica. All right. Do you want me to do this one, or you want me to go to a question?
Sure. Why is house break?
Jay Brown. Thanks for watching, Jay. Why is it so hard to housebreak my puppy?
So, question I get probably most. One of the questions I get most. That and jumping. So, potty training is all about scheduling. You have food and water in, food and water out.
Garbage in, garbage out.
Right. and unfortunately, it doesn't go in smelling so great, but it comes out smelling like
poop.
I mean, it doesn't go in smelling so bad, but it comes out smelling really bad. That's what I meant. So with the potty training, it's all about scheduling. If you're not using a kennel helps.
Big time.
It's a must because your dog has free roam in the house. Kennel's super important. When your dog's out in the house, have the dog on a leash. If your dog is pooping more than 3 times a day, you may want to check with your vet.
What was that again?
Check with your vet.
Okay.
I'm not a vet. I'm not a nutritionist. Don't know a lot about dog nutrition. I just know I've potty trained a lot of puppies. And if they're pooping a lot, I go first and have their stool sample checked to make sure they don't have any parasites, nothing wrong with the dog. Quality of food is important. So if you have a dog that's pooping a lot, look at their quality of food. Maybe try changing that up. But it's all about scheduling. So if your dog is pooping all over the house or pooping a lot, you can always cut back on the food or skip a meal. When puppies come into the training program, I usually don't feed them for one meal. That way I make sure everything's out of their system. And if they've pooped a lot in between that, I may skip a second meal or feed them just a little bit. So I know, like, hey, when I feed them this meal, that this is a schedule. So I'll feed them a meal, and then I'll take them out about every 5 minutes. When they come back in, I don't let them roam the training area. When they're in the house, we don't let them roam the house. We take them out every 5 minutes. When they come back in, we put them in their kennel and watch them. Wait about 5 or 10 minutes, and you're going to do this continuously until the dog goes, and then you're going to write it down. So if the dog eats at 5 and poops at 5:26, you have a general idea. So,
and it may seem really, really tedious at first, but trust me, putting in that work in the beginning saves a whole lot of cleaning up.
Yeah,
a whole lot of and having the puppies on a leash all the time, something that you taught me.
Well, great.
Getting just like a piece of paracord Isn't that what it's called?
Yeah.
Paracord?
Especially for small dogs.
And just kind of tying it to your belt loop. That way you're not holding it all the time, but you've got them there kind of with you.
Yeah, I call that short leashing a dog. Like when a puppy comes in, especially into my house, they are on a leash attached to me all the time, unless they have some free playtime. But even if, like, when you take them out and they go to the bathroom at 5:23, and if they poop again at 5:28, you have some dogs that are going to go to the bathroom more than once.
We got a double pooper.
We got a double pooper. That's a bonus. We got a double pooper. So maybe just the amount of food. I don't know. It may be a dog that poops twice every time. That little husky is with us right now, like, is a double pooper. It poops and then it'll walk around in a couple minutes and poop again. It's almost every time. So we have a double pooper.
I had a traveling pooper.
You had a traveling pooper.
I had a traveling
There are
pooper.
those too. So it's all about scheduling. And once you kind of figure out the dog's schedule, super easy for you. Again, make sure you're not leaving the dog out roaming the house. Make sure you have a dog on the leash in the house. Super important. And that way you're kind of controlling all the movements. The dog goes to poop and you're like, nope, quick, yank the leash, and then you run it outside. Make sure when the dog's going to the bathroom outside, you're rewarding.
Miss Terry wanted to add to that, don't forget to mention that if you change food, be sure to do it gradually over a 2-week period to hopefully avoid upset stomach from sudden dietary change. And then Ryan said quality of food makes a huge difference too.
Yeah.
You feed less of better food, less in, less out.
So Miss Terry, she's been in the vet industry for, 20, 30 years, a long time. Almost longer than I've been alive. That's not true. I'm just making her feel old. Ryan, he works for a local feed store. Knows a lot about food. Helps me out all the time. So yeah, 2 big things. If you're going to do an abrupt change, don't. For puppies, like when puppies come in for training, I don't use treats and I don't change their food. Because even if they run out, I'll find out what food and I'll go down to wherever they get it and buy it, because puppies' digestive systems are fragile.
They're very delicate.
Very delicate. And you change foods drastically and you are cleaning up poop everywhere. And not regular poop, but liquid poop. It's not pleasant. It doesn't smell nice.
You know, it always comes back to poop.
Everything comes back to poop.
Everything comes back to poop. Okay, so that's good.
That's good.
Okay. You want me to read that one next, or is it?
No, we'll read that one. Go back.
Okay.
That was easy.
This is from Kelsey Hallmark Summerford. Hi, Kelsey, if you're watching. My friend referred me to y'all. I have a question for your upcoming video. Oh, that's this video.
It is.
I have 2 dogs, a Rhodesian Ridgeback and a British Lab. The Lab has torn up our backyard. She is the only one that digs. My yard looks like a landmine, Phil. Please tell me you have a solution, LOL.
I do.
That means lol.
It means lol.
Well, lots of love.
Lots of love.
I'm just
Laugh
kidding, it's
out
not.
loud.
That means laugh out loud. How can I keep her from digging or breaking her of the habit?
Another super common question: digging, peeing on things, even like male dogs that mark all over your backyard and destroy your landscape.
And just things.
An e-collar, like super easy fix. Now the dog is associating the digging with something that's fulfilling. And you see all, like, I saw HGTV, it's like, make a dog area, bury treats in the yard, in this area.
For diggers, let's empower them to dig.
Yeah, so you're like saying, hey, I'm gonna bury things so I can teach you to dig at my yard. You dig a yard, you get a reward. So that's kind of an extreme when your dog is digging. I don't care if it's digging for moles. I don't care what it's digging for. If your dog is digging in your yard, it's getting pleasure out of it. It's like, this is something I like to do. So it's associating digging with something good.
It's like Miss Penny says, we put poop in the holes.
Yeah, poop in the holes, it discourages the dogs.
Poop in the hole!
There's you're right. There's so many things that you can try, but I'll tell you what, like, works 100%.
I just heard the echo.
What?
I just heard the echo on the...
Oh.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
No. You okay?
I think it was the sweet potato.
You had too much sweet potato.
I had too much sweet potato.
Sweet potato's gone to your head. That's probably the cinnamon butter.
I just had a little bit of that.
I just had a little bit.
I just had a little.
I had a little bit of cinnamon butter. So, okay. We were talking about digging in the hole.
So associating something bad. With
I'm afraid
digging.
to even say anything now. Like, where are you going to go next?
Miss Penny went there.
At Miss Penny, that seems about right. So, get an e-collar, aka shock collar, and you're going to associate digging those holes is something that's super uncomfortable, and not on a low level. I mean, I want you to start at the highest level. And when the dog goes to dig, you're watching out the window. They have a good range. As soon as that dog puts his nose to the ground, 3 seconds. Very quickly, the dog will associate that digging with something uncomfortable. What most people do is underwhelm their dogs. So because we're kind, humane people, compassionate people, we just like, okay, well, I'll try it on this level, about a third of the way. Go all the way up, because think about the consequences. So have you heard of those things called poison peanuts? People putting mole holes?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Have you heard of animals eating critters that have had poison in their system and them dying because they've eaten this critter that has a poison in their system?
I have not heard
You have not. It happens all the time to birds. Megan actually is the one that kind of told us about it. You were there in New Orleans. So if your dog ingests a mole or anything in the ground, a field mouse, anything it's digging for, anything it finds that the previous homeowner left behind, or whatever's in the ground from when they built your house, who knows, and ingests that, your dog could die.
Oh, that's not
You
good.
know, if it eats something that's eaten poison before it dies, or finds some nastiness in the ground that's dead and has already eaten poison, like your dog ingests that poison. You know,
Yeah.
It happens all the time. Dogs come into the vet poisoned all the time.
Because it ate like a poison mole.
Then they don't know why. And you ask, have you ever used rat poison in your yard? No. It doesn't mean the dog didn't dig and get something. So my point is, the consequences of that dog digging and getting something foreign and eating it, or a poisonous plant, I mean, you have to kind of gauge it like that. So if my dog digs in my yard, not only is he tearing up hundreds and probably thousands of dollars worth of
And hours
stuff,
of work.
and hours of work, and cleaning the dog, and your carpet when it comes in. Think about the amount of dollars it's going to cost you to redo all that. The frustration, you step in a hole, twist your ankle, you go to the emergency room. I mean, it goes on and on. You could blow it out of proportion as much as you want to. Wah, wah. There you go. I'm just going to stop it. I'm going to say, here's the consequence. You dig, it's going to be unpleasant. Same with fence fighting, same with barking. It's just like, fence fighting builds drive, you can build aggression. You just want to just cut it out, and you do that by creating something uncomfortable. So I'll tell you how, I used to do it before e-collars. I would have the dog on a pinch collar, and I'd have a piece of paracord stretched all the way in the yard and through the door, like under the bottom of the door, and the dog would start to dig, and I would pull on it, and the dog would go, "Burr."
Yep.
So, do we need to return text? I'm just messing with you. Okay. So that's your question. Answer your question.
E-collar.
You need to find a punisher for the dog that means something to the dog. The easiest thing to use is an e-collar.
Okay. Do you want me to go? We had another one on here.
What's that?
Edgar, we kind of already addressed that in the beginning.
Yeah, no, we can. That's a good question.
Didn't we already address that?
Not getting fixed.
Oh, sorry.
That's the question.
Would you recommend getting a dog fixed to help with aggression?
So, castrating a dog is a personal opinion, a personal choice. Could help, it could not. It's, I guess 50-50. I don't know. I've had plenty of dogs that have been neutered that still want to kill other dogs and still want to hurt people. So, will that solve your problem? Absolutely not. If you have a dog that's intact, of course he's going to have more natural testosterone and drive, especially when he starts to mature and 1.5 to 2 years old. He's going to want to challenge everything. So it may help, but it's still a personal choice. Neutering was and this is going to be so controversial, but neutering was huge because they said it'll help control the dog population. Well, we've been mandatory neutering in counties and cities for a long time now, and the population of the shelters are still going up. So clearly it doesn't work. We just had to neuter Rambler because he kept getting prostate infections. Would I have neutered him otherwise? Probably not. Talk to your vet about the health risk of neutering.
What was that again?
Talk to your vet about the health risks of neutering and not neutering. I've seen dogs that have serious prostate problems, testicular cancer, because they have their parts. So, there's benefits to it. I'm not a vet, but I'll tell you for a fact, I get dogs that are that have been neutered for a long time and still have aggression problems. Otis, who came in, he's 3 years old. He's been neutered since he's like 10 months old, and he still like went after other dogs. So it's not going to solve your problem.
That's not the cure-all.
That's not the cure-all, and that's kind of projected to be, oh, it'll calm your dog down. And sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. There's no way to really tell.
But maybe talk to your vet.
Yeah, or just make a good decision. You know, if the dog's aggressive towards people, then or other dogs, you have an aggressive dog. Like neutering may help, but it may not. Like I said, I get a bunch of dogs that are neutered. As far as in the training program, it doesn't make a difference to me if they're neutered or not.
Right.
Like they still need training.
Do you want me to go for here? Or you want me?
What's that say?
I have a question. You had Bree.
Yeah.
Okay. You had Bree for 2 weeks. When she got home, she started tearing up the solar lights in the flower bed. She never did it before. Is she mad at me for leaving her for 2 weeks?
No. So Bree is like I think she just turned 1, a 1-year-old German Shepherd. So no, she's not mad at you. You just have to have more structure. You know, dogs are going to find things if they're have a high enough drive. They're puppies. They're going to find things to get into. You know, the landscape lights are sticking up. She's like, oh, what's this? She touches it, moves, she grabs it. She's like, oh, there's 1, and there's 2, and there's 3, and
they're
there's 4.
probably just stuck in the ground, so they're easily removed.
And next, it might be the seat on your little golf cart that you use to go feed the chickens with. Next, it might be your chickens. Like puppies are going to do that. So she's trained on the e-collar. Bree's a super good dog. You set her up to fail. Put her out there. She goes. You can even teach dogs not to go in flower beds. I mean, Invisible Fence is a great company, and that's what they're based on. It's like, hey, if you go near this, there's a consequence. So
our dogs know not to go in the kitchen if we tell them not to.
Our dogs. There's rooms they don't go in. So you can teach your dog boundaries, and she's a young, German Shepherd that's running out and playing. She's like, oh, she bumps one of them, and now it has her interest. So what do they do? How do dogs satisfy their interest? They use their mouth and their paws.
She said, should I use her e-collar?
Absolutely.
Yes. Yep.
All right, so how about one of the questions off that somebody pre-asked?
What do you recommend for a 2-year-old dog that follows your every footstep throughout the house?
Oh, I can so relate to that. So two Dobermans and 1 Dutch Shepherd. And if I let them, if they'll follow me through the house, I will turn around and I will trip over them. So normally, I kind of don't mind as far as my dogs like following me around the house from room to room. They usually come into a room and lay down. If I'm doing something in the house, I'm cleaning the house or vacuuming or doing something where I'm going from room to room and it's like annoying, I just send them to place. So if you place is something that's super good, like Layla, my Dutch Shepherd, is super high drive. Like she has to have place, and a lot of times, like the other Doberman, my Dobermans will be roaming around, but she has to go to place. Like she has to have that structure, or she will just pace the house. She'll drive you crazy. So place is a super good tool, and place means here's boundaries, whether it be a towel or a place cot or a dog bed, and this is where you stay. If you come off of this, there's a consequence. So teaching your dog place, and you start in a room, and then you learn to leave the room. E-collars help for that if you want to e-collar train your dog so you can work on it from a distance. But place training, I have a bunch of videos on YouTube, on my Facebook page. There's a bunch of videos about place training your dog and creating that personal space. So when we let our dogs always just get in our face and get in that personal space, it's not a super healthy thing. A lot of times when I have dogs come in, like they'll be super nervous and they want to lean on me. They want to push on me. They want to like kind of use me for comfort. I'm like, no, you're gonna have to figure this out on your own. It's super annoying when you come home from a day's work and you're tired, you're trying to sit down, and your dog is in your lap or on your chest. Or I had one client recently, the dog got behind his neck. Like when anybody sat down, super annoying. So correct that behavior. Use a collar, use a leash. A prong collar. When the dog gets up, give it correction. Say no. It's permission based. You're not going to come to me until
you're told you can.
Till I tell you to. Till I give you permission. Everything's permission based. So if you're okay with dogs on the furniture, I I was okay with it pretty much. She's totally not. So I had to train the dogs that are about to move here. That furniture's not okay. Bed's not okay. It used to be okay. Now it's not. However, if I call them up into the bed, like they can come up in the bed. If I call them up on the couch, they can come up on the couch, but they do not do it on their own.
When we tell them to get down, they get down.
They get down.
So
it's not just a given. So everything is permission based. Start to create that personal space with your dog, and your overall existence with the dog will get better. Everything about the dog will get better. When they're putting that pressure on you, it's almost bullying. It's just like, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here.
Can hurt your knee.
Like, there's dogs in the house. They're not here. They're not. They're not in our laps. They're not in our face. They're over there laying down where they should be. So just create that personal space.
Let's see. You want to do that one, Kristen? Or you want me to go
I
back
think
to
the second part of that question went there.
Oh, yes, there was. So sorry.
Do we train service dogs for vets? So service dog training, it's very specific. So as far as service dog training, I train access. I train general obedience. What I do not train is specific things, like we'll use diabetes dogs. The dog's going to be used for diabetic alert now, and I'm training all the obedience. Like if you need your dog to herd you into a corner or stand on your feet, stuff like that, we're just not set up to do that. I can do the basic obedience. I can do
What'd you say? What'd you call it? Entrance? What'd you call it?
I forgot. No, my brain just went dead.
Entryways?
No, like a public access. There we go. Public access, where teach them sounds like two words. That's it. People think you just can't hear. So like going into places, manners around people, things like that, we teach that. But as far as specific service, we're just not set up to do that.
Good answer. You read that?
Sure.
Or go to the ladies' room?
Go to the ladies' room.
No, laser one.
The laser one.
The laser one.
No, we'll go to
Okay.
We got some time.
Kristen says, any advice on helping my dog get better at meeting new people? He loves people and other dogs. He just struggles for a little bit warming up. Then he's great.
I was reading Rachel's. I'm sorry. Say it again.
Oh, Rachel. I know.
So I've known Rachel since like the 6th grade.
Yeah, she said up here, she said, when we were talking about putting poop in the holes, she's like, yeah, unless they're poop eaters.
There are poop eaters, and the e-collar shot collar can help that too. Like it's a nasty habit, especially if you don't know they're doing it.
Makes for some bad breath.
Yeah, it's horrible. So the vet that I work with, one of her dogs was a poop eater. She was doing yoga, and she was doing, I guess, the downward facing dog. I don't know. I'm just saying that she was doing something, and the dog came in through the doggy door and licked her right in the face with poop. And that was it. She's like, I gotta fix this. This is not gonna happen again. And as far as I know, it didn't. But it took getting licked in the face. She's probably gonna hurt me for saying that. Sorry. So Rachel asked one. German Shepherd gets bored very easily.
She just said they need a job.
Yeah, and the job. People think when it needs a job, like I need to teach it to go get the paper. Your job is to sit there and be quiet.
Chill out.
Super hard for dogs. Super hard for dogs just to turn off. So when we say dog needs a job, we think of like, okay, what in my house could the dog do? I mean, it can't vacuum.
That'd be nice. Clean up after its own hair.
Yeah. So Banjo did clean up its toys.
She did clean up.
Now we don't have toys in the house. Our other Doberman, I can say, go clean up, and they would pick up all their toys and put it away. You can teach them to do stuff like that, but it's limited. So if you really want to work a dog's brain, work on it staying put. It's super hard for dogs, but you'll see the dogs just decompress. Like, oh, okay. You mean I can not
chill.
do anything? Super good for home life.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, that one.
Yeah.
Say it again.
Any advice on helping my dog get better at meeting new people? He loves people and other dogs. He just struggles for a little bit warming up, but then he's great.
So it kind of goes back to what we talked about in the beginning. I'm not keen on my dog meeting people. Mm-hmm. If you have a dog that wants to do that, that's great. If you have a dog that's like saying, I meet 4 people and it's okay, but the 5th one is not, then you may just say, hey, you can't meet my dog. It's super hard because, you want your dogs to be okay around people, but the whole meeting and greeting thing is just not something that's required.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when people come over to the house, like our dogs are here, but they're not in their face. Like I don't care if they ever meet anybody that comes in the house. There's a whole lot behind that, but it's just when you have a dog that like how do you meet people, you have a dog one that's excited when it sees everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when you get jumping and pushy behavior, dogs in dog's face, two dogs like this, tails wagging, all of a sudden one's not good, and the other one's like, well, I'm not good either, there's a fight,
Mm-hmm.
or somebody gets bit because they reach too fast for the dog.
Right.
Dog's like not cool, they have a hat on, sunglasses, something weird. Dogs always look for something out of place, so out of the 5 people, 4 may not look out of place and 1 does, so I'm going to bite you. There's so much involved. But you know, you do have those dogs that just
Well, like Gretchen,
good with people.
great with people and annoying with people. Like, hey, pet me. Hey,
Yeah,
hey,
unless we
hey.
say
Unless we go sit down.
go lay down. So if you have a dog that's not okay with some people, then it's unless it's the people that are around it. But even like when family come over, I don't want the dogs in their face. Like again, create that
Boundaries.
space. Don't think that everybody
And
has
even
to touch
if
your dog.
and if the dog likes being around people, then but still the dog still needs to know boundaries.
Yeah,
That it doesn't need to go up to everybody.
permission based.
Permission based. And then that might help with the warming up part.
And believe it or not, this is super hard to say because everybody wants a friendly dog. Everybody wants a dog that plays with other dogs. And sometimes you just don't have that.
And it's okay.
The most stressful thing, one of the most stressful things for me is to see a bunch of dogs running and playing. Because eventually, it's going to get out of hand. Eventually, one dog's going to go after the other. It happens. Happens in my own house if I let it accelerate, let it intensify. So it's too hard to talk about because it's not something that you want to hear. Like, hey, don't let your dog meet people. Like, well, I got a dog to be friendly. I want it to be around people. It can be around people. It can be in restaurants with you, be in cafes with you. It can be in your house when people come over. But
It might be just too much input for the dog. Just
Yeah,
like people, sometimes, if we're in a super, super crowded place, it's just too much. It gets stressful because it's too much input.
yeah, and you put stress on a dog, we can leave, or we can yell, "Shut up." But you put too much stress on a dog, how do they tell you there's too much stress? With their mouth.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the only thing they have. They either growl, bite, but somehow with their mouth they're saying, "Hey, I'm stressed out.
I am not okay here.
I'm not okay here." So
Yeah, Sabrina. Hey, Sabrina. She says socializing gives her anxiety too.
Oh, it does. It's just like, part of my job is to make sure dogs are okay around each other. But that is the most stressful part for me because I'm reading dogs. I'm like, it's just like they're interacting. And it's so stressful for me. I don't like filming a lot because I'm like so focused on the dogs. And some dogs just aren't going to socialize. They, my goal in some of the dogs is to make them not want to kill other dogs.
Yeah.
Like they're never going to be social. That's just a fact. I can make them not want to chase another dog, but if another dog comes out and gets in his face, it's going to be on. The problem isn't gone. The problem is under control.
Yeah. Do you want to do that, or do you want me to go to the?
I'll answer real quick. Do y'all do any agility or protection work? We do not do agility. So a few people in town are really good. So protection work is one of my favorite things to do. But we don't do much of it anymore. We do it with our own dogs. But I don't teach it. It's hard to get people who are consistent. It's hard to get a good decoy out. I don't decoy anymore. The very little I did, it was fun, but I have to be able to move the next day. When you decoy for a long period of time, it's like you've been hit by a truck the next day. You have these dogs hitting you with a kinetic energy of 300 pounds. And if you have some good dogs, and we did, you're beat up. I mean, your neck hurts, your arm, you have bruises.
Are you not 19 anymore?
Even at 19, I don't know if I would still do it. I mean, there's guys older than me. I mean, older than 30, and they
love it.
And they love it. Yeah,
Yeah.
older than 30, and they love it. They like getting beat up, and that's their thing. It's not my thing. I think one day we'll get back into it when I can hire a full-time person to be decoy and trainer. I think we'll get back into it.
Do you want me to do that?
Sure.
Can a dog be kennel trained once they're older?
Absolutely. Get dogs all the time. And a lot of times when they're older is when they start to get into trouble, or you start to care about their trouble. So you have a puppy, and you say, oh, it's going through a puppy stage, when it's like 1.5. It's tearing stuff up, it's getting into your house. Or it used to have an area, this happens a lot, you used to have a house, and now you don't have a house anymore, you downsize and have an apartment. So absolutely, kennel training an adult dog is not hard. You start the same way you do with a puppy. You start with food in the kennel. I have videos on that. There's a lot of good videos on YouTube about how to kennel train a dog. If you have a dog that continuously barks in the kennel, bark collar works. Make sure you get a good one, because the cheap ones like stick and they'll just keep going off. Garmin makes a good one. I think it's the only one I know of that makes a good one that I've used. But you most definitely can train older dogs.
Good question,
I've had
Kathleen.
dogs 7, 8 years old that people had a change of lifestyle, moved somewhere that dog had to be in a kennel. And it's super easy to maintenance a dog that's in a kennel, because no matter where you go, whether you have to take the dog on a trip with you, whatever, the dog understands kennel. Super familiar. The dogs are super safe in the kennel.
Yeah.
It's a sense of security. As humans, we humanize and think they're in a cage all day.
Our dogs run to it when it's open.
Yeah, dogs don't think that way. When I take mine down, my dogs get stressed. They pace, they pant. Like, okay, where's my kennel?
Where's my home base?
Yeah. So yeah, you definitely can.
Yep. Let's see. That's good.
Yeah. More questions?
I don't have any more question.
Okay. All right.
But you wanted to talk about.
Yeah. So here lately, I've been talking about dogs who people have used laser pointers with. Dogs that chase shadows, sounds that aren't there, things that aren't there. Had a dog not too long ago that saw a lizard in the backyard, a German short-haired pointer, and all of a sudden got infatuated with the backyard and destroyed it looking for this lizard. And then it started inside, started destroying the house.
Oh, wow.
There was a young lady that kind of reached out to us, I think over Thanksgiving is when I was talking to her, and she said, my dog chases shadows, he's starting to tear up my walls. She sent me pictures of her walls and videos of the dog. I posted one on Facebook of the dog like just chasing stuff, and the dog makes itself miserable. So what happened in this case, and it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen to all dogs, but laser pointers, there can be it's a mental thing. It's been proven that it's a mental shift in the brain where it's involuntary. I kind of relate it, and I don't know if this is correct. This is how I relate it to myself and other people. It's like, people see flashing lights and have seizures. Like there was one time when they saw flashing lights and they had seizures. Probably before then they may have had seizures, but not related them to that light. So the dog was most likely genetically predisposed to this condition. That light set it off. Now there's a trigger in the dog's brain that's saying, I have to look at it. I have to look. I have to look. I have to look. And it just goes over. It's like OCD. It goes over and over. And if not taken care of, most of the time, over time, it gets worse. I've seen dogs tear up furniture, tear into walls, make themselves crazy, make their toenails bleed, make their mouth bleed, trying to get to these things that aren't there. So the person that called us reached out. She was desperate. We went and helped her out. And I gave her some coaching tips before we got there. And then Ryan was shadowing me that day, and we spent about an hour with her. And in that hour, I taught her how to use a bonker. Gary Wilkes came up with a bonker. It's just a rolled up towel with 2 rubber bands. The dog would chase shadows, throw it at the dog. Sounds cruel, but what's going to happen to the dog if he's tearing up your house all the time? He's either going to get put down or get gone,
It's a towel.
It's a towel. And what it does, it's a punisher. And I found that like e-collars and prong collars, they don't work as well for this. I don't know why. There's probably a reason, I just don't know it. But I know that it works. I've done it over and over again. Anything that I tell you, I've done. It's not hearsay. So dog goes for the shadow, you bonk. No, bonk. And so the dog starts to associate chasing that light with something that's not comfortable. Anything flying at the dog's like, this is not good. In humans, you can relate it to like people with certain mental disorders. There's a simple thing they do. You can read about the rubber band on the wrist. People who are compulsive eaters, light switch on and off. Every time they get the urge, a pop the rubber band on the wrist. I think Sabrina, she said maybe her sister got some electroshock therapy to stop OCD. So what happens is your brain, the dog's brain, starts to associate, instead of something that's driving that dog, to something that's like
Interrupting.
So the dog looks at shadow and it's like, wait, something's going to come at me. Shadows, and eventually it gets to the point where the dog just stops paying attention to the shadows. It takes time. It's not quick. You never hear about it because it's not something, for one, people don't like to hear about punishing your dog.
Right.
People don't like to hear about throwing something at your dog. We're not throwing rocks. We're not throwing furniture. It's a towel. It's a rolled up towel. But the point is, you don't hear about it because people don't talk about it. It's not like a selling point for training. Like, my dog chases shadows. Like, when have you called a trainer and asked about that? You just haven't. So it needs to be talked about more because
it's out there because people have been coming out of the woodworks talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, they've been in the past, but since I posted that video, it's email after email after email, video after video, dogs chasing shadows, dogs going after things that aren't there. So we worked on that, which is really quick. I just show them how to do it, and the dog's like, eventually the dog just goes and sits down. It's like, I'm not going to move, which is cool. The dog will get over that. At the end of the thing, like, I take the towel and set it in front of them. Like, they're not scared. They're not like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's just, it's not a big deal. And so during that session, we worked on that. She had 2 dogs that fought. And they weren't, I wouldn't say they were super aggressive dogs. They were just both little buttholes. They like meh. So same thing with the bonker there. They cut eyes at each other. No. So we worked on that, and she's never been able to walk them on a leash before. They pull, they choke themselves. She tried harnesses. So in an hour, we worked on the shadow thing. We worked on them fighting. Also, creating personal space was really a big deal, because they were just always on top of her, creating personal space, and understanding leash pressure and walking on a leash. So that was yesterday. Was it yesterday?
Yeah.
Yesterday, and I got this email today.
Says, today whenever I messed with Izzy with the collar, she did so good I decided to take her for a walk. She walked like a pro. It was the most enjoyable walk I've been on with one of my puppies. She's still looking at shadows, of course, but I'm using the towel as I was shown. Thanks so much for everything again. I'm definitely going to keep at it. You gave me some great tips.
Good. So, kind of the thing, what I want to point out here is, like, it took an hour to go into somebody's home and say, I mean, this is how you change your life. This is how you, like, dogs are so stressful.
All right, so Rachel was saying that.
Talk about that.
That dogs are so stressful. Yeah, if they don't have, it's just chaos, and you can't have chaos in your house. And so it takes something so simple as an hour, just of somebody kind of from the outside in to bring perspective of, it's okay to have order, and here's how you get the order. So it brings that personal space, it helps the dog too, because that's stressful for the dog to live in like that too. So when you help change that dog's mindset of, oh, I don't have to be pacing all the time, I don't have to chase the shadows, it's almost like you're freeing them to help them chill.
Yeah, I mean, and it's like, you know, it's so stinking important. Say something funny.
Say something funny? Poop.
So I'm super passionate about it because it matters, you know?
It does. And, you know, there are dogs, and we want them to be a part of our family, and we want them we want everything to be, you know, happy-go-lucky, everybody gets along. But when you don't have that, your whole life can be turned upside down. And it's something so simple as bringing order and bringing, telling them they can't do the craziness, cutting out the crazy.
And there's so many people that say, you know, this dog can't be fixed. Like, or you can't do anything to him. There's only been like a handful of dogs that I've had to say, man, there's nothing I can do.
Yeah.
Like, I have nothing. Either I haven't experienced something that's bad, or, gosh, that dog's an ass. I mean, that dog's going to kill somebody or kill another dog, or like, look at your house. I trained this person, dropped off this Rottweiler and didn't tell me the whole story.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a video, if you scroll back through my Facebook, where I'm in like doing leash work on day 2, and this dog's like trying to kill me all of a sudden.
Right.
And they didn't tell me the whole story. This dog had been like transported from another state in a completely enclosed trailer, no lights, and this whole backstory. I'm like, are you kidding me? So I took the dog home after a week. They paid for a week.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't disclose any of this. I didn't make much progress in a week. Took the dog home. I went in their house, and oh my gosh, their house was like a war zone. There was like holes going in the wall, going from one room to the other. It was like, you let this dog do this to your house? I mean, every piece of furniture in 2 rooms was shredded. They had to block all the doorways by stacking sofas on top of each other. Like, you let the dog do this crap? Like, why?
Yeah.
I don't understand. And that's what makes it so hard, is I don't understand why people and trainers, and there's a lot of good trainers, but they're not like saying, don't let your dog do this.
Right.
Like, don't let your dog do this to your life.
Yeah. And because some of them don't want to be politically incorrect, but
Yeah, they're dogs.
They're dogs, and you work hard for your money, and you work hard to have nice things. That's saying this is why we can't have nice things. Well, it's correctable, it's fixable, and it makes a better life for you, for your kids, for your dog as well. So, but Ryan said the bonker idea was a little weird to me when introduced yesterday, but then I found myself chucking at both Otis and Izzy. It works.
Yeah, he did great. It's like I was talking to the person, all of a sudden a bonker goes by my face, and I was like, "Oh, you too?" I mean,
Yeah.
and like,
and it says howl. It's not like it's not like one of those clubs with spikes sticking out of that. I think a lot of people think, "Oh my gosh, you're hurting the dog." And you know what's the best thing about it is, even when you correct a dog and they come back, they run straight to you and their tail's wagging like, "Oh, hey."
Yeah.
And like I kind of use this a lot. Like, my older brother was extremely overprotective of me, but I listened to him. And he was also my boss for 5 years. But like, with his like umbrella of boundaries, I could be me. I could be free to be me because I knew my boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Well, dogs live a more free, or freer, more free. Wait, I'm a grammar nerd. Freer, more free, better life when they have boundaries. Kids do better with boundaries,
So I'm sitting on 2 pillows, so I can be as tall as Olivia. And she's still taller. That wasn't nice. So yeah, sorry I got emotional. I just get passionate about it. You don't have to live like that.
No, it's
just don't.
fixable.
I'm not living like that ever. And with my dogs or in a relationship, I'm not.
Yep.
Any more questions?
Nope. But
so emotional.
Benita said, "Thanks for all you did for Bree. She is a lot better."
Yeah, and she'll get better. She's a 1-year-old German Shepherd. I mean, she's going to be a little cuckoo. I think she just turned 1. I don't think it's 2. She's young. Dogs are going to be cuckoo when they're young, just like our kids are cuckoo till they're about like 35.
Or 19.
Or 19. We have 23, 19,
17.
17.
15.
Yes, we have the kind of the full gamut of teenager to young adult.
Teenagery
to young adult. And so it's the 2 of us. Power. All right, well, thank you guys for watching. It's been an hour. We're going to wrap it up. Do you have any more questions?
I think we're good.
Yeah,
Yes, she just turned 1. Oh.
Yeah. What's that?
I think she got sent an email about that.
Spanking. Okay, Amber, I forgot about your question. Sorry. So, spanking your dog. Like, I remember my mom growing up, like, she house trained every dog with a newspaper. Like,
rolling it up?
Yep. And I have to show it to her. I'm not big on spanking dogs. Like, I'm just not. Like, for one thing, I don't want the dog to be physically scared of me. Like, I don't want the dog to be scared of my hands. I want my hands to be something good. So I'm going to use a leash, a prong collar, a bunker, an e-collar. I'm going to use a tool to communicate with the dog. never my hands. My hands are something that's always going to be good. There are different schools of thought there. I mean, I know people do. Okay, so my dad, when we were little, and all the farmers we knew, all the country people, hunters we knew, like, this is the way they fix dogs fighting. So the dogs were hunting dogs. They were in dog pens. And they would, my schedule for tomorrow's coming up. This might take a while. So they were on dog pens. When they would fight, like, only the young ones fought because the old ones knew better.
Right.
They would go out there with a belt, and they would, all of them, no matter who fought, they would, like,
And
stop
that's my mom.
Right.
If I have to spank one of you, I'm spanking
Spanking
all
all
four of you.
And so, like, things have changed.
Yeah.
That, I'm sure that happens, but that's not the way you do it. I mean, that's just, I'm like, oh my gosh.
There's a tool for it.
But my dad is the same to me. He's like, you know, you do that, I'm going to beat you and your sister. I don't care
I
who.
turned out okay.
Right? Somewhat. You're with me, so you're a little off. But, so, that was a punisher. I mean, that's just the way that's the way they did it. I don't like hitting dogs. I don't like touching dogs. I don't like with my hands, because I want, when I reward that dog, when I call that dog, I want the hands to mean something good. Now, if I say no, my dogs, especially the dogs I train, understand no means there's a consequence. That means a bonker, a pop on the leash, tap from the e-collar. So I let the tools do the punishing, not me. Because if you're spanking or hitting your dog, like, you can do, excuse me, it's your dog, you can do whatever you want. My opinion. If you're spanking and hitting your dog, then that dog will never come to you, especially if you're upset with it. Like, my dogs know when I'm upset. If they took off after something or ran out the door or something, like, they know I'm upset. If I ever hit them or punish them with my hands, there's no way they come to me. But when they're upset, or when I'm upset and they're going off, if I say no, here, like, they know the tone of my voice, I'm serious, and they don't. They come running back when they, like, get to me. They're like bear crawling, and they look at me like, "What did we do?" But I can reach down and grab them by their collar, and I can take them inside, and they don't, like, resist me.
Cower.
Because I've never done that. I've never physically, like, harmed them. So I just don't agree with hitting dogs like that.
Yeah.
There's so many training tools available that I just don't think it's necessary.
All right. I had one.
Go ahead.
This is pretty good about the bonk. How do you keep the bonker from becoming a toy?
Yeah, good point. So I can't use a bonker on my dogs.
No.
Because, you know, I probably could if they weren't expecting it and I associated with the no, I probably could. But if they're looking at me, I throw it at them, they're just gonna
catch it.
They're
and
gonna
bring
catch
it back.
back. They're gonna bring it back to me. Or they're going to take it off like, oh, this is my toy. So I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
If you use it right, your dog will understand what it means. Because when you're using it is usually when they're not paying attention anyway, or there's some aggression or some type of behavior. So they're not paying attention anyway, and the thing's a surprise. That's it. It's like a surprise.
Element of surprise.
And, I mean, it works for food aggression. It works for so many things because it's just not expected. The dog doesn't expect it. I had a dog the other day, did great with me. I forget his name, a little black dog. Little Pitty, did great with me. No signs of aggression, worked with other dogs. Mom got that dog in the hand when she came to pick the dog up, and I always bring dogs out to make sure they're good with the other dogs while they're in the owner's hands because the dogs act different with the owners. That dog, like, unleashed. I mean, teeth, lunging. Mom had a prong collar. She started correcting. The dog started turning around, like, redirecting on Mom. And it's just like, oh my gosh, this dog, you know, has fooled me all week. It's been great. So Mom I gave her a bonker. And she forgot to throw it. So she's walking along and the dog goes, oh, and she just pops it in the head. But she's been dealing with this rear end dog for, months. So she's, like, fed up. And just first reaction was stop. It took 2 bonks. Just thunk on the head with a towel, and that dog ignored every other dog I brought out. The dog that got it all worked up in the beginning, it wouldn't even look at it.
Nice.
So I know that kind of went overboard with the question, but I think if you surprise your dog, they're not going to look at it as a toy. But I get where you're coming from because my dogs totally would.
Well.
All right, is that it?
I believe that is all.
All right. Sorry I got emotional, but not really. I'm passionate about it. Love what I do. Love helping people and dogs. Love helping people more than dogs.
Yes.
I like dogs, but I love people. We're going to do this next week, I guess, at 8. It seems like a good time. We had a good... I moved the table, didn't I? We had a good turnout. So next Thursday we're planning at 8.
Yeah.
Put out another invite. Send in your questions. Thanks for tuning in.
Yes.
Really great time. And we'll talk to you soon.
This is Terry.
Olivia.
What's this?
I always forget that part.